It's time to cut some vegetables. Now, in previous videos, I talked about how to choose a chef's knife and also how to sharpen a chef's knife. And if you haven't seen those videos, please check them out. We'll put links up here. Today, I want to show you how to use that knife. And we're going to be talking about the classic French knife cuts that can be a great foundation to how you work in the kitchen. Okay, first I'm going to start with the strip cuts. And that's because these are the basis for another cut, which are our dice cuts. First thing you want to do is square up your vegetable, and that's what I'm doing right here. You can see I'm cutting all the sides so it's a perfect rectangle. Then you want to come through, make your cuts carefully so you have it the exact width of the size you're looking for. Then you want to go back and stack those planks and go back through, square it up, go back through and being very careful and precise, cut that same width again so that you've got strips that are equal width and height. And the smallest one is called a fine julienne. That's what you see right here. That's 1/16 of an inch by 1/16 of an inch by 1 to 2 inches. Now the length can vary a little bit based on the vegetable or the recipe, but this is a general guideline of 1 to 2 inches in length. But it's always going to be 1/16 of an inch high by 1/16 of an inch wide. And that's 1.5 millimeters in metric. Now the next cut up is the julienne, which most people have probably heard of. It's also called the allumette, otherwise known as the matchstick cut, and that's 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch by 1 to 2 centimeters long. And in metric, that's 3 millimeters. Now we go up one more size, and you've got your batonette. That's 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch, and this one's a little bit longer. It's by 2 to 2.5 inches, and that's a touch longer than the other two because it's a bigger cut. And that 1/4 of an inch in metric is 6 millimeters. Now, you start with these cuts, and then to make our next cuts, you would cut these into symmetrical dices, which is what I have here. These are made from those same 3 cuts I just showed you. Now we go back to the cut I did earlier. You want to stack all those cuts up, make sure they're nice and straight, and then carefully go back through and cut that same width across so that you've got all equal little cubes when you're finished. The first and the smallest, what we have here, is the fine brunoise, otherwise known as a brunoisette. And you sometimes hear brunoise mispronounced. People say brunoise. That's incorrect. It's pronounced brunoise. And this is a fine julienne, which is 1/16 of an inch diced. So it's 1/16 of an inch all the way around. The next cut over here is our brunoise, and that's made out of dicing a julienne cut. And that's what you would imagine, 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch. Now next we have the small dice, and that's the batonette cut into a dice. So that's 1/4 of an inch cubed. You can see that here. And then we've got some larger dices. I did those with potatoes because as you start getting to these larger dices, carrots become a little too small. So first we have our medium dice, and that's what you see here. And that's 1/2 of an inch by 1/2 of an inch by 1/2 of an inch. And then you've got your large dice, which is 3/4 of an inch cubed, and that's what we see right here. Now you've got some other style cuts that I'll show you, and these are all somewhat similar. You shape the vegetable and then you slice it into thin slices, and that's how you create these slices. And I'll go around these here, starting with this one. Now this first one is a paysanne. Paysanne is derived from the word for peasant in French, and that's basically they're thin square slices. So you make a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square, and then you cut that into 1/8 of an inch slices, which you see here. Next is the rondelle, and that's this cut over here. A rondelle, you cut your vegetable into a round shape and then slice that into either 1/8 of an inch all the way up to 1/2 inch slices, depending on the recipe. And you can see here we've got a rondelle, and those are 1/8 of an inch slices. Then you've got fermiere, which is right here. Now that is a rondelle, basically a rondelle cut into quarters. So you would round out your vegetable like you were going to cut a rondelle, then you would quarter that and then slice that into 1/8 of an inch up to 1/2 of an inch width pieces, which you see here. And then finally, we've got our lozenge, which is very similar to the paysanne, and that's basically a thin diamond slice. So these are about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch as well, but instead of being completely square, they're elongated so you get a diamond cut. And that's going to be 1/8 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch in width. Well, I hope that was helpful. If you liked the video, please subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see more of. My name's Chef Jeremy with Lineage Culinary. Thank you for watching.